I was very much looking forward to the shoot because I knew that this was going to be a reunion of sorts, right? The last time I saw you was what, 10, 15 years ago in my old show. So how has it been since?
Busy.
Busy?
It's been busy.
It's been busy. Quarantine has been a little challenging, but for us, I think that it gave us a chance to really focus on music. So it was weird at first because we weren't seeing each other just because of the quarantine, and then slowly but surely we started
Getting together.
And that's one thing, DJ, you're in the music industry, and I know that this industry has been heavily impacted by COVID. No more live shows, no more performances, no more concerts. How has it been for you?
It was tough, but I want to say that that's where gold came from, was the fact that I was sitting at home for a couple months going, we're not doing anything, we're not producing anything, we're not putting anything out. And it was at home alone where the chorus and the melody really came from. It came to me. It's like alchemy, I guess. There was nothing there, and now there was something there, and that's where it came from.
And as a father, what's it like to see your children, not just getting along, but really working together, collaborating on something?
It's like a dream come true. I always wanted a band. I got my other kids too. One is playing the drums, and my Deuce plays the drums, and Emerson plays the bass. So we'll do a couple of shows where all of them will play together. But it's just, growing up, we always had music in our house. All our family gatherings, from when we were little, there was always a couple of aunts and uncles playing guitars and everyone just singing. So it just feels like an extension of that. It just feels like family. And
it's the next generation of that.
That's the way it's supposed to go,
But I'm sure it's not easy working with family, or is it? For
Oh
you?
man, sometimes there are days, but like with any family, there are disagreements, arguments, and especially with artists, everyone has their own ideas, but we're family, and that comes first, and it all comes together, and it made something beautiful.
So you got a dish about gold. What was the most difficult part of producing this?
I can't say that there was any difficult parts, working on anything artistically, there are challenges, but the idea came pretty quickly, and then before I knew it, we were in the closet here recording, really quickly, and then we got Ruby Ibarra on, which was another good step in the right direction. So
it was a big coup for us to get Ruby Ibarra. We always looked up to her, and we wanted to collaborate with her. And we just, it's scary when you ask someone if they want to work with you. And luckily for us, she agreed. But Ruby is also a scientist. So she was working, and it was COVID time. So she didn't have that much time to get to the track. So it took a little bit longer to get her rap from her, but it was well worth the wait.
She was always in the cards for gold. She was always the one that we cast.
Where did this idea come from?
Well, I kind of proposed it. We were talking about what the projects are, and I feel like that's what my job is kind of like an artistic leader, like what's our next song, and at that time it was all about we need to write something that was about pride, something about pride about us, and some kind of anthem. And Daryll came up with the hook and the music, and he sent it to us, and then we would send it back and forth until we ended up recording it, and it's taken on a life,
especially with Asian Americans, and all of the adversity
and all of that's happening right now, and now it's Asian American Month, so the timing of it just kind of worked out perfectly. And Ella wanted to make a statement about some kind of political statement, and it turned out that it was going to be about the skin whitening industry. I'll let them talk about that. They'll come on.
Right. So, Derek, what would your advice be to parents? Filipino parents are known, or maybe notorious, for not really being supportive of their children who want to get into the arts. But you seem to encourage that in your children, and your parents have seemed to encourage that in you guys as well. So what would be your advice to other parents?
Really, it's just encouraging them and supporting them, because they can't do it without the parents. For instance, all of the auditions that we have to drive them to, or scripts that we work on, I work on it with them. So it's a collaborative, you really have to be there for them. even though there's no one who is doing the things that they have done that they want to do.
We're trying to pave that path.
We're trying to pave the way for them and just encourage them, because there is no, what's out in entertainment, it's very limited when it comes to Asians, and we're hoping to change that so that other people can see and say, hey, I can do it too. But for our family, I think all we know is entertainment. It's different. You know what I mean? If they said I wanted to be a doctor, I wouldn't know how to support them other than like, okay, baby, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Right. The only way to support is pay the tuition fee.
Yes, that would be it.
So the last time I saw you, you had just become a mother, and that was what, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. And so I was looking forward really to this interview, and I told Derek that because this is almost a reunion. How have you been since?
I've just become a mother, and I have 2 now, and I have a little international family. My daughter is half black, and my son is half white, and of course Filipino all around, which is the heart of everything. So, yeah, and that's been an amazing exploration of motherhood. As I wrote my book, Palms Up, is when I was not last on your show, but one of the times I was on your show, Palms Up, and since also have been evolving my work in holding space and my activism and my writing and directing, a lot of it through my organization, Palms Up Academy, which our fiscal sponsor, one of our partners is SIPA, Search to Involve Filipina-Americans. So we were operating out of there, and I run a mic space, but I also run classes, and I really work with artists and nurture them. And through that, I had written and directed and was in my short film Glimmer with Faye Hernandez and Rosario Dawson, which was wonderful. We did the festival circuit. Yeah, I mean, we just keep on building, and then there's Gold and the Gold music video, which is why we're here today, and the Fabulous Filipino Brothers, which I am in and co-wrote.
And so now you're a sister, a mother, but you're also a very supportive aunt. Can you talk to us about your support for Ella?
My investment in Ella started with when she was born. She was actually the impetus for our family to get back together and heal together. We went through a dark period in our lives, me and the brothers and the family, and it ended after 7 years with the birth of Ella. So Ella being born was so imperative to our family story. And from the moment she was born, she's a very I don't want to say lucky, because she works really hard, but she is a very lucky kid. She's got this charisma about her, and we used to call it, well, we still do, the twinsies. So as she was getting older, she would come into my room and she would want to dress like me, and she would want to sing and play music, and there's many pictures and videos of her at shows of mine, and then you can't even see me. You just get my knees because she steals the show singing my songs, and I'm like, what about the footage of me? And it's all of little Ella singing my songs. It's adorable, and so I think that's where it began, and for me. And then I was doing music with Daryll J, Daryll Jonathan, and of course DJ is such a talented musician and songwriter. He's actually really gifted in that. And then as she got older and she was getting trained up by one of our community members at Palms Up Academy, learning guitar, Fuzzy. I got to talk about Fuzzy. He's an incredible Korean American instrumentalist and rapper and MC and singer-songwriter. So he started training her as well as the other kids, and then they started writing these songs. And because we're inherently do this work of activism and represent for our peoples throughout our careers as a brand, and me as an individual, and I'm an advocate for intersectionality, and I always hold space for these things, and so of course it goes on to the next generation, and then they end up writing this song Gold, and it and they were writing it, and it's a celebration of skin, and of course I'm right there supporting it. In fact, they admitted to me that part of the reason the song was inspired was another community member of mine, Magic MC, because he wrote this song called Gold AF, and it's fantastic. And DJ was like, oh man, we got to have like a gold song. So they wrote this song, and everyone loved it, and they started to go into production. They talked to Leslie, who you'll be speaking with, Leslie Alejandro, super talented filmmaker and photographer. She came up with this concept, and they started filming it, and they were raising funds for the video and the commercial. And I had thrown some events via my organization. I don't know if I'm allowed to say a poker night. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. A poker game. So we raised some funds, and we were still trying to raise some funds, and they had already finished filming. And I said, I called up my brother and sister, and I was like, I always love Ella and I want to support. Why don't I just come on as an executive producer and help fill some of those holes? And here we are. So.
Right.
But it started a long time ago. It takes that much time, at least for me and my art and what I decide to commit to. It takes that kind of trust and that kind of nurturing and building for me to get to that place where, like, wow, I really believe in this project. I really want to dedicate myself to this and that.
Tell us about your involvement in this music video, Gold.
I am the writer, director, and producer of Gold. Ella Jay had gotten in contact with me, and they were getting ready to release the song actually on all the music platforms. And I kind of convinced them to give us some time to actually shoot this and not actually do it in conjunction with the release of the song on the music, because it was so special and the ideas that we had were very intricate that I didn't want it to be rushed. And they all agreed. And so it actually premiered, I want to say a couple of months after, the music video premiered a couple of months after they initially released the song. But I think it was worth it.
What made you decide to work on this?
Ella came to me with her song that she had written with both her brother Daryll Basco and also Ruby Ibarra. I've always been a big fan of Ruby, always been a big fan of Ella and DJ. And when I heard what the song was about, it definitely, I connected with it. I connected with a lot of her songs, and being a Filipino-American and hearing the things that she talks about being a middle school girl. And she tends to write a lot about feeling different than other people that surround her and whatnot. And as empowering as I know that it is to her, it really hit a chord with me, because I definitely relate to it, being Filipino-American as well, and growing up around the same kind of constructs. So yeah, I really wanted to bring this concept to life and understand, also being a morena and growing up morena with, family members who were mestiza, and everyone saying, really Filipinos who kind of put you in the category of differentiating you and putting you in a different box or different category than what a mestiza would be in their eyes. It can be hurtful. And so the fact that she talks about celebrating your brown skin, celebrating your color, really resonated with me. So we wanted to bring this concept to life.
So how personal was your treatment of the music video? Like, did you infuse some of your personal experiences, some of your perception of what you had experienced in the past in the music video?
100%. When Ella and I started talking about concepts, she brought up the idea that she wanted to do something that kind of was in a different era. And immediately I thought of the 50s, because the 50s could be one of the furthest away of any of Filipinos coming up. And I used to love the 50s. I worked at a 50s diner as a car hop for many years right out of high school. But I always knew that being a Filipino in the 50s, I would not have a place. as a woman, as a Filipino-American. And so I wanted to really bring about the contrast of what it was like in the 50s to somebody and what was expected of not only women, but also people of color, what was expected out of them, and then bring the contrast of understanding and celebrating who you are today, and Filipinos understanding a little bit of the activism that is needed within our community to come together and show who we are, because not a lot of people know who we are as Filipinos. They kind of just throw us in the same category as other Asians. And although we are proud Asians, we definitely have a different story than most Asian or Asian Americans because of the colonization that we experienced twice in the Philippines, and how that translates when Filipinos came to the States.
So do you have special moments, favorite moments of the music video?
I mean, I'm just so proud of all of it, and shooting that commercial was very special to me. I had always wanted to shoot even in film and also in photography, I always wanted to shoot some type of a projectored imagery. And so that coming to play came pretty natural and was fun all around. It was a lot of work because we used so many different outfits, so many different backgrounds. But shooting that commercial was really special because it kind of distinguished a different layer that was needed for that, especially for our message. And so, I mean, I think shooting the music video was one of my favorite moments. I also love, we did 2 days. We did the commercial and also the projector stuff in a big studio on the first day here in Los Angeles. And then we shot the second portion of the music video where it was more using of the gels, of the purples and the teals and the golds, and that we shot that up north to be with Ruby.
Oh.
So we did that the weekend after, and did that in the garage that that Emily and Derek Basco had rented an Airbnb from, just so we can incorporate Ruby into the video too. Yeah, that was really, really fun, because then I got to separate a little bit more from just the projector and really use a lot of lighting, and Andrea and Bianca really pulled through with all that setup and the lighting and everything too.
When did you hear about this? Who approached you, and what made you decide to do it?
I think it was Derek or Ella. I can't remember who approached me. They said they were shooting a music video for Gold. I heard the song before, and I immediately said yes. And they told me that their friend Leslie Alejandro is also going to be directing it. And anytime there's a female director, I'm just like, yes, I will work on the project, whatever you want. So it was an easy yes for me.
What was the hook for you? Like the message, that like you said, women power, or just the overall theme of the whole thing?
It was a combination of everything. You know, I want to support women filmmakers, and especially Filipino women. I loved Ella's message in the lyrics of the music video. So it was a combination of all of that, and then just hearing that it was going to be a predominantly Asian cast and crew, and a lot of women and queer folk were working on the music videos. It's just all of that hooked me to say yes to just come out and shoot the music video for them.
Right. You are the director of photography, the DP for the music video. But I know that it's not easy, no matter how comfortable, no matter how family, or no matter how, everything was falling into place. I know there's still challenges when you shoot during a pandemic. What was that like for you, and what are some of those challenges that you encountered?
At least it was nearing the tail end of the pandemic, but I think the biggest challenge was I had never shot anything in the pandemic, and I wasn't sure how. We had to have a much smaller crew. Everyone had to get tested, which was the easy part, but I wasn't used to working. I hadn't worked with such a small crew in a long time. So a lot of us were double dipping. Like Derek, who was also running the shoot and helping Ella, was also moving lights for me. And then I had one other person. It was just all of it together just made it hard. But the thing is, it was such a nice family set that anytime something was hard, it didn't really feel that bad. It makes me feel less homesick being in America, because they're like a second family for me. And also, it's just much nicer to be on a set where everyone feels like a sibling or a cousin or an uncle. Even though I'm not blood related to them, it just made that whole vibe was there. And I'm not sure if it was because it's the Boscos or if it's a Filipino thing, but maybe it's both.
I think it's definitely both. If you look back on this period, on this set, on the filming of this project, what would you remember the most?
That Emily, Ella's mom, had the best food. We had K barbecue, and some of the snacks were ramen. There was just, and then she would make me an espresso in the morning. I think the food was, and that's just normal for Emily. So I really appreciated that.
Right. And any tips or clues, like watching the video, your favorite scenes in that video?
I think just as more of a personal thing, one of the shots we had was when the two girls were rotating on a platform, and because we were a small, low budget music video, we actually had to have Danny, our producer, rotating the platform. So I think there's a video online of her underneath the camera moving it, which was really funny. That's definitely my favorite part of most of like shooting.
I love that. Thank you for letting us in on that. Also, when you mentioned personal, on a personal note, you know, this powerful message talks about belonging and loving the skin that you're in, and you know, doing away and trying to do away and break all the stereotypes about having dark skin or light skin or any of that. What about you? I also asked Ruby about this. Any personal experiences about, you know, you're half Filipino, and there's some nuances, intricacies. I shared with Ruby in my interview that I had been told when I was new here in the States, and even now I still get, you know, told that, oh, you don't look Filipino because you have light skin and things like that. What about you? Anything to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think the strongest thing I like about the music video that impacts me is that, you know, be proud of your brown skin. When you grow up in the Philippines, there's so much of an excess of whitening products, and it does a number to people, and people should be really proud of the brown skin they have in our culture. Like, especially for me as a white passing Filipino, like I don't have what they, you know, all of my darker skinned friends go through. Like, I really wish that the stigma of thinking that light skin is the best, it would just go away. I want everyone to understand that Filipinos look different and it's beautiful. Like, there's people like you and me with more lighter skin, and then there's people like Ella who has more darker skin, even though she's mixed race too. And I feel that I want more, especially with women back home, to like accept that and be proud of themselves and stop listening to how marketing and ads and beauty standards, just forget beauty standards. Like, brown skin's beautiful, and that's what I love about that music video. And that goes the same for all Asians. Like, we all look different and we should all be proud of who we are.
So I know that Ella wanted to make this song and the music video as a statement, but for you, what does this mean to you?
Oh, I'm so proud. It's become my personal anthem. I blasted it in the car everywhere. I'm thrilled that they have this narrative, and I think in part that's inherent, but I think that in part it is influenced by all of the work that myself and also the family has been doing for years. You know, it's part of our values to be proud of who we are and where we're going, and to represent till someday there's no reason to represent, because there's enough of us doing things, not just the Basco family. I mean, we do all this to help pave the way. We're not the only ones paving the way, of course, we know that, but we keep pressing so that we can continue to give people other opportunities to come in, and that's part of the reasons why I am continuing to do Palms Up Academy and work like this, to build that bridge of believability amongst people that look like us, that this is possible. This doesn't just happen because you're a Basco. This doesn't just happen because, oh, you know this person or that person. This happens also because you took the time to hone your craft and sit in the room and jot down your thoughts and make that a song or make that a poem or make that a script, and you kept pressing and you nurtured your relationships, and because that's really what it's about, you know, nurturing your relationships and evolving humanity through that. I mean, that's what I think it's about. But it starts with, do you believe in yourself enough? And that's what I'm trying to build, that bridge on the grassroots level and the local artist, that, hey, I'm here and I'm doing all of these things over here and up here, but that can be you. you can also do that, and trying to give the people like that empowerment.
Gold, I was telling Ella this the other day, gold is, I believe it's a power anthem. It's a power for young girls to really understand and celebrate who they are. It is to give them the power to stand up to not trying to blend in with the masses and trying to just accept themselves for what they were born with, not trying to change, not trying to use the skin whitening that has been prominent in all of Asia and in the Philippines and in the States for a very, very, very long time. And because the tune, it's not like this stand strong, beat to the drum kind of ordeal. The song is a lot lighter. It's a lot flowier, and so I feel like it sends out an all-around positive message, and not to be angry about where you are, but just to accept where you are and push forward in that space.
And to celebrate.
Yes, and to celebrate, exactly.
So the statement I was trying to make with Gold, same thing as Ella's, I wanted to make a statement about being proud of the skin that we are blessed with. I think in today's society in America and all around the world, Asian Americans are marginalized, and that might want us to whiten our skin or to zip up our coats. But I wrote this song with the intention of wanting us to be proud and to step out into the sunlight and be proud of the richness of our heritage and of the color of our skin.
When you learn to love your true reflection, yeah, then you'll always be rich with a gold complexion.